Hello.
Hello, Mover.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
It's Monday.
He's a febrile.
Hello, Doug.
Hey, dude, come at me with those science words.
That's a medicine word.
Why don't you come at the science here? Welcome back to the show. It's us. We may or may not be at 100%, given some of our compatriots here.
That's right.
Patriots, whatever. Let's see. We've got a show today. Wombat's not here. So
unfortunately,
much like the real wombat, they're very hard to find in nature. So you'll get him. We'll see him again in July, August, September.
Definitely. Yeah.
Let the rumor mill spread once more.
You guys must be fighting again.
We are fighting. It's the quarrel of the century. Just kidding. We're not. We're not. We never have. He's a busy man.
Yeah. So what have you been up to, Mover?
Oh, no. What did I do?
Tell us. What have you been up to?
He's repressing all of it.
What new problems?
Why do you want to bring all this stuff? Dude, I lost my keys. That was a pretty big part of my weekend. Yeah.
You found find them?
Yeah, they were in my post office box.
Oh, good. Yeah, awesome.
Which is why I hate mail. So,
I was kind of surprised a high-tech guy like you didn't already have air tags.
I don't like Steve Jobs tracking me, from beyond.
I understand.
Yeah, or his people, or his designated representatives. Yeah, so here we are, and it's Monday, and we've got a show probably, if Gonky is up for it. How are you feeling, sir? Tell us about your weekend.
Yeah, my weekend was weird. I basically had the fever. Actually, my daughter had a fever, and then she gave it to me. So I have since recovered partially, and here I am.
The only prescription is more cowbell.
Yeah. It's definitely not sleep when you have young kids. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Douglas, what's new in the world of Douglas?
Well, I've taken up American Truck Simulator. It's surprisingly addictive.
What was it you're telling me? You live a virtual life. You go to you go to virtual work as a trucker, and then you play virtual golf after your shift.
That's accurate.
Wait a minute. Wait, Doug. Is this like you're a semi truck driver?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know the
VR
1-800 Truck Masters. It is the truck driving school.
That's awesome.
Yep. I learned to drive an 18 speed yesterday. Splits and ranges.
Oh yeah.
You got a double clutch.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was wanting to try that in real life.
The grinding.
Dude, soon you will not need to do anything other than stay at home with the internet connection, and you will be able to experience all things.
That's pretty much my life right now.
It's kind of sad now that I think about it.
Oh, because it's my life. Thanks, thanks, dude. Fine.
Ah,
Who doesn't have the Rona right now?
I don't have Rona, man.
Yeah, that's what you say every time you get the Rona. You say this, and yet
No,
each time
no,
you become patient zero.
no. Purebloods don't have that problem.
Oh. Okay, well, we've got a show. Hey, Gonky, from a fan, they said this should be your new bathtub.
Oh, I like it.
You know what though? Who would say no?
Dude, no, here's the thing. For sure, I could get that into my house, but
If it's fun, the answer is no.
my son would never let me in it because he would spend his life in there playing.
Yeah. Another thing from the audience, this is actually from last time. Andrew sent me this. Check it out.
Oh, that's
This
cool.
is across the pond.
Is that a
in
Triumph?
UK. Oh, yeah, you're asking me questions.
I'm pretty sure that's a Triumph. That's a good looking motorcycle, man.
Cool paint job.
Vertical twin.
Ford
Yeah.
That would
GT.
be my first guess too.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Yeah.
that's a Triumph. That's an odd.
But
I like
we've
the
made
snap.
it. We've made it. We've made it.
And that's beautiful countryside too. Holy cow.
What does this do? Oh my God.
Mover, where'd you say where was he from?
It says UK.
Oh, nice, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. Sad news, which you just found out. Breaking news. You didn't know prior to this that Bud Anderson flew west.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I was a kid growing up, I think it was called Fighter Races of World War II. I wore that VHS tape out, and it was Bud Anderson and his friends in the 357th fighter group. And, you know, a lot of those guys were aces, but he was a triple ace and he died at 102. And if you're a fan at all, you know that he actually stayed pretty active and like going around the air shows and stuff, sitting in front of P-51s, talking and telling stories. So it sucks that like literally every day now, I mean, the legends of World War II, arguably the greatest generation, you know, they're quickly passing. And I just, it's too bad we couldn't have all of his stories because I'm sure they're awesome. What do you think, Mover?
An hour of experience in the cockpit.
Dude, yeah.
No way would that fly today.
Yeah.
You're not current on your CRM, your bold face it, and like there's just no chance.
Yeah.
1 hour.
Yeah. I mean, excuse me. Like I said, all the, like this entire generation, World War II, I mean, they did what they had to do to get it done
Amazing.
because it was, you know, it was a way of life at stake, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, nickel on the grass, you know.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
Triple
that's,
A's. How many kills did he
Triple-
have total? Triple Ace is 15 at least. I forget. 16. He had 16 kills. Wow. That's awesome. Man.
he was working on quadruple. It's like, I'm not done at triple.
Yeah, he flew more than 130 aircraft, 7,500 hours. Yeah. I mean, the guy's just a legend, man. I mean, they'll never be fighter pilots like those guys.
That thing said the civilian pilot training program, they need to bring something like that back. Like that is your solution to your problems. Because I think, and this is kind of a tangent, sorry, but I think we're going to end up in a situation where it's too expensive for anybody that's, you know, less than upper middle class to ever become pilots. And you're going to lose a lot of talent because of the bear. It's going to be just like racing, where only rich people with daddy's money end up doing it. And you need more diversity. You need more salt of the earth. And so I think that's a good program. And because you get people like that, you get people that, you know, now granted we were at war at the time, but that's all it takes. It's a priority shift.
Well, you definitely want to open the pool up to get the best, right?
Right.
It doesn't matter.
The most qualified people, but
right.
What I'm saying is if the most qualified are qualified only because of money, yeah.
You still want
yeah, I don't want a force that the qualification standard it can be bought. That you can pay your way in.
Yeah, I agree.
Like racing.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man.
But
I mean,
to this point, he did a lot for aviation. He did a lot for the military. And, you know, dude, what a full life.
Yeah, and to your
100
point,
years?
to your point, I remember because I watched that fighter races of World War II so many times. I can't remember if it was Bud that said it or one of his squadron mates, but he was a poor boy from the country, and he said that guys who were actually country boys tended to do better because they were hunters. They hunted, so so they understood lead. Like
Yeah.
they understood.
Lead pursuit.
Correct. So you're right.
Well, and that's the thing is like when you hear a lot of these stories, you're not like, well, my daddy had a Citation and I flew it every day, and then he put me through and he bought me a Cirrus and I flew that, and then I got it was
Yeah.
I had to I was on a farm
Yeah.
shooting my varmint rifle,
Yeah.
and next thing you know, I've got 1 hour in an airplane and I'm fighting the Nazis.
Yep. Yeah.
Greatest generation, man.
Yeah.
Greatest generation.
Yeah. Those guys are my heroes, man.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So from anything else, any reattacks on that? Nickel on the grass. Very sad. I'm also sorry that you're just finding out today.
Yeah, I had no idea. Well, dude, I've been kind of under the weather, right? So
well, let's not. You're unless I send it to you, you don't know about it anyway. It's my fault that I didn't let you know.
Yeah, why didn't you?
You
should have notified me
at the time. As the director, it is I report to you, and you know what? You didn't drink enough of your vitamin C stuff.
Drinking it now.
Sick. That's water.
No, it's not.
Oh, vodka. Janitor's back says, "Are Mover and Wombat fighting like Stenhouse and Bush?" Do you know what this refers to, Gonky?
No, I'm gonna look it up though right now.
I'm gonna tell you. No, I'm gonna tell you. So, All-Star race in NASCAR this weekend, which, by the way, I tweeted it out yesterday. The only way to fix short track racing in NASCAR is either to add 250 horsepower or make scenes like this mandatory after every race. You have to have some kind of brawl, some kind of fight. So what ended up happening was early in the race, Stenhouse may have tried to dive bomb and made it 3 wide, and Bush thought that ran him into the wall. Bush then retaliated and hooked him head on into the wall. Well, he hooked his left quarter panel, and then he got loose and went into the wall. So at the end of the race, Ricky Stenhouse is in his SpongeBob boxer shorts and a t-shirt waiting for Kyle Busch to come back to his hauler, and they exchange a few words, and then Stenhouse just decks him. And it becomes
did
a
Busch
fight.
Win? Did
brawl?
Did Kyle Busch win the race?
No. Joey Logano won after having led 199 of 200 laps, which is why I'm saying they need to fix it, because that's just awful. That's Formula One level crap.
Oh, dude, 109. Yeah,
the only reason there was even one lap where he didn't lead was because, like, on pit road, there just happened to be a minute where another driver had the lead. But nobody remembers who won because this part was so awesome. But the best part was they're on the haulers, and like the tire changer, the fuel man, one of the like jacked up crew guys is throwing people off like Donkey Kong style. Like he's like Gladiator, pushing people off and basically owning the space.
Dude, suddenly I'm interested in NASCAR.
That's what I'm saying. And T-Bear and I were talking about this. He's like, well, the reason NASCAR became so famous was because back in the day when they would wreck, they would get out and start fighting.
Yeah.
Now they don't do that as much.
Yeah. They probably had more whiskey in them back then, though. That's probably why.
Well, they can.
Because didn't NASCAR start from, running moonshine from the police?
And then it goes back to my original point. It used to be a blue collar sport until Daddy's Money took over. And now instead of whiskey, it's White Claws.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bunch of, 5'3", Daddy's Money type dudes that like, what? They're not, it's not like the 6'4" Cale Yarborough types, that are, when you punch, it hurts.
Yeah, this stuff like this here, this is probably going to be the most watched NASCAR thing on YouTube in a long time.
I shared one with T-Bear right after we talked of some track where the drivers wrecked and then chased each other with the cars into the infield, and the flag man came out and started punching them. I don't know. Okay, well, back to aviation because that's why nobody's watching right now. Ethan says, "Cheers to Gonky not getting the show canceled."
It's not over yet, man. I've got time.
Yeah. AA Ron says, "One of the few upsides to getting laid off. I get to spend my Mondays with Mover, Gonky, and Doug. Also, have you tried Beam NG?"
Sorry about you getting laid off, Aaron.
Sorry, dude.
That sucks.
You ought to keep that.
Yeah.
I have tried BeamNG.
What is BeamNG?
That's a surprisingly poorly named automotive simulator. You can build cars and wreck them, and there's all kind of weird environments. It's got so many layers to it.
Yeah. Okay. This one's funny. Conquer says, "What was your first carrier trap like when you were a pilot?"
Mover, go ahead. You first.
No, I've never been a pilot. When you were a pilot, tell me about, now that you're not. Tell me.
My first trap in the T-45. Well, it was actually quite memorable. I've told the story before. I can't remember where it went, but anyways, CQ on, I think it was the Lincoln, and I'm roll out center ball, and I'm thinking this is easy, and I hit the burble, which is the island as it moves through the air, creates basically turbulence behind the ship. Developed quite a sink rate, man. I went to military power because the T-45 didn't have a burner. Crashed into the one wire, and when I obviously it scared me because they gave me a screaming power call too. I thought I was gonna hit the back of the ship. I keyed the mic, and I stood on the mic as I was breathing like Darth Vader, and I screamed like a little girl when I took the trap, because it was my first trap too. At the same time, my head flew forward because my harness didn't lock, and I hit the my head hit the UFC. I still have the marks on the helmet from that, actually. And what I didn't realize that that I had keyed the mic. So when I taxied to parking, all my friends parked next to me were all laughing at me, but I thought they were just excited because here we are on the boat. And then when I got down into the ready room and I walked in to the ready room, everybody burst out laughing, and they had recorded my pass and they were playing it. So that was my first trap. It was one and done. I should have went to the cat for more, but because I crashed into the ace, they wanted to have some words with me, so I didn't kill myself, and that was it. So
you're done for the day, sir.
I can't remember, Doug, if they put me back out there later that day or if I waited to the next day. But yeah, I had a great pass going. I remember Yogi was paddles. Sorry, Yoda was paddles. And he said, "Man, I thought I was gonna have to give you an okay pass on your first try," and then you dropped the bottom out. So yeah, that was my first trap. Scared the crap out of me. Mover. You're muted.
That's because I didn't do anything. I was sitting facing the wrong direction, and then they said, "Okay, we've landed," and I walked off the cod.
I've never had a trap in the cod. Was it violent?
You're backwards.
Yeah, but was it violent still? No.
I mean, no worse than flying Southwest. Welcome aboard. Yeah. So Fred says it seems like a lot of the racing flyovers are going to private companies. Any idea why NASCAR is going to more private planes instead of active military aircraft? Thanks for the great content. I noticed that. I saw NASCAR salute to military commercial, and it had a flight of L-39s from one of their flyovers, and I was like, those aren't from us. And I honestly, dude, I think it goes back to reduced flying hours. We're stretched thin, getting approvals, no budget for cross country. Like the glory days are over with, because I mean, what does it take to do a NASCAR flyover? First, you have to have Pentagon approval. Yeah, we have to have. I mean, so SAF PA has to approve it, or Navy PA, whoever. It has to be an approved event, and then it has to be coordinated, And then usually we have to fly out like a day early to get there. And so like that's a weekend TDY cross country. I don't know if they're doing cross because the more budgets shrink, the less cross countries happen. And when flying hours and jets are breaking, that's usually not a good recipe for being able to go on the road and support that. So, but I've seen some, I've seen military jets do flyovers.
The sad part is, that like supporting a flyover is, in my opinion, is not a waste of taxpayer money, because as fighter pilots, at least in the Navy, Mover back me up on the Air Force side, but we very rarely operated outside of our base. So when we went cross country, we got experience like doing navigation, and talking to ATC, that we would never get if we just stayed at home. So
I can't do whatever thumb thing you just did. Sorry.
I didn't do that, dude. It's
do it again.
I don't know. But yeah, so it's not wasted money, man. I mean, it's an opportunity to go out and exercise, skills that you learned like once in training. So it's sad that it's, they don't have the money
felt
for it.
like I learned more cross country in a lot of ways, especially single ship cross country, because you are on your own. And when you're a young lieutenant, that autonomy is scary, dangerous, but also the best learning experience on the planet. Well, it's not scary to you as the lieutenant. It's scary to everyone else that knows that you're a lieutenant that's cross country.
Well, it's like where do all these pins go?
Yeah.
It's like they're all different sizes and shapes. You're like
talking to ATC, you're not used to.
Yeah.
When you're in the home drone, it's very controlled. Button 4, button 5, like the sequence. Now it's like contact Jacksonville Center on 124.85. Can I get a uniform? Hold on. 124.85. That's not uniform. Okay, 3. And like just going through that, writing it down, getting the right frequency. Oh, I'm on the wrong frequency. Hey, there's weather ahead. How do I deviate? Like stuff you don't really think about when you're just -2. And for me, that's when I would sit there, because you get bored because you're just on autopilot and you're not used to that. You'd be like, okay, I've gone through every sub mode and mode of this radar. I've locked up every single airliner I could find. I know what this does now. I can, you learn the systems a lot better when you didn't have that stress of, okay, I got to maintain position. I got to make sure I shoot when I'm supposed to shoot, all that stuff. That was great. And then finding the field. I mean, hell, just getting into an unfamiliar environment, getting into the pattern, looking out for other traffic. And then you take that and you go to a cross country with a flyover, and now it's time over target, because you have to shack the TOT or else you look stupid. Nobody wants to look dumb on national TV. Believe me, I have. So shacking the TOT, making sure you're flying over the right place. I've known people that have flown over the wrong stadium. Yeah, because the new one was built the day prior. Like that target recce, that's important. Like there's a lot of transferable skills that people just don't realize, that you get a lot of good stuff out of doing that. Plus, we're giving back to the American taxpayer. You're now seeing what your tax dollars have paid for. And as a taxpayer, I'd rather see a 4-ship of even fat Amy than, just about anything else. Well, not Amy, but a lot of other things. Anyway, I don't want to get political. I had to stop there.
I agree.
Let's see. Gundam Blade says, did Gonky bulky another country? Bully. I
hope not.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about the Iranian president that you bullied into.
I didn't bully anybody.
Straight into the ground. David Bond says, SC South Carolina Air National Guard UPT board is open. Make them tell you no.
There you go.
Yeah. And you can always go to millrecruiter.com to find out what jobs. People are always asking me, how do you know? It seems like millrecruiter.com is like that one stop, and they're not sponsoring me or anything like that. These views are my own, but I've just seen, it seems like everything is kind of centralizing to this one place, which I think is awesome, because there needs to be a one-stop shop to make it easier for people to find out. Laura says, I wonder if little girls ever say I scream like a Gonky. If you knew what Gonky meant, that would be.
At the time, it was one and the same. So.
And Redder says, we got a hospital after removal of brain tumor. The middle minutes really stops you feeling sorry for yourself, motivated. Thanks for the show. And we're going to talk about that today with perspective. Speaking of which, didn't we have a shout out today?
Oh, we did. We did. I almost forgot. So Wombat, he couldn't be on the show, but he asked from a fan that if we give thoughts and prayers out to Claude Ferguson. So I guess he's battling with some stuff right now, and he could use some positive thoughts and prayers. So
absolutely.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, moving on to news, the Iranian president is no more.
What happened?
So it sounds like another inadvertent in the IMC or situation very similar. Thanks, Doug. Why does it look like that now? That's a new look.
I think I hit the wrong button. There we go.
Oh, that actually looked better. So the president had a helicopter crash. What we know about the death of Ibrahim Razi. They could not find the wreckage for 12 hours. And they actually there were drones out there. So what happened was it was the president, the foreign minister, and there was somebody else. They died in the helicopter crash. Servant of the Iranian nation, Ayatollah Ibrahim Raisi, has achieved the highest level of martyrdom while serving the people, state television said. It was in the province of East Azerbaijan. The group were returning from Azerbaijan, where they had attended the inauguration of a dam alongside President Ilham Aliyev. And the helicopter crashed in a mountainous region amid poor weather condition. After an hours-long search, hampered by fog and rain, rescuers found the burned-out wreckage of the helicopter on the mountainside. No signs of life, no cause for the crash. They were in a Bell 212. What if you look there? That's what the 212 looks like, a Huey. Countries including Russia, Turkey, and India had expressed concern and offered assistance after reports the helicopter carrying Razi had gone missing. I think Turkey actually sent out a drone to help find the wreckage. It's been 5 days of mourning, and the U.S. has not commented publicly. And that is it for the article. So, Iranian president dies. But the mishap, you hate it for the pilot. And it sounds like a situation similar to, we talked about the Kobe Bryant thing, but inadvertent in the IMC, 56 seconds to live. I've talked about that on this channel. The Heli Expo or the helicopter HAI folks, they put on the 56 seconds to live. And what that basically means is once you go inadvertent in the IMC, especially in mountainous terrain, typically the average time you have to live is 56 seconds. That's how much time you have. It's less than a fixed wing aircraft, but in a helicopter, not instrument capable, that's the time you have to figure it out. And so usually what they have taught in these courses, because helicopter pilots traditionally are not very good in the weather, and I'll talk about why in a second, but what they talk about doing is turning around, land and live, or if you can't do anything else, mayday, instrument cross check, climb out of it or get into a safe situation, declare an emergency, stuff like that. In this case, it sounds like the weather was bad from the start and they knew it. And it looks like stereotypical, inadvertent and IMC control flight in a terrain. Again, that may have been something else going on, but helicopters inherently are not the best in weather. What is going on? Why? Stop clicking stuff, Gonky.
Did I do that?
Yeah, you did. So, and typically helicopter pilots are not incredibly proficient at it because they don't spend a lot of time in the weather. They don't, like fixed wing pilots. We spend a lot of time flying IMC, and the instrumentation is that, and the platform is more stable. Helicopter, you're always flying the thing unless it's got an autopilot. In a fixed wing aircraft, you can usually trim it out, let go, it'll fly fairly well. And so what ends up happening is it's very easy to get down that rabbit hole of flying into the weather, and then all of a sudden you don't know which way's up, which way's down. There was a very tragic video posted in the obscure parts of Twitter recently about a wedding where that exact thing happened, and the pilot basically just lost control. He was taking the bride and her sister and the videographer, or I think one of them was the sister, and the groom is sitting there waiting, and they go in IMC, and it's just next thing you know, they're upside down and into the mountain. So it's very dangerous, especially at the low altitudes helicopters fly. You know, you're not up in the 18, 20,000 feet above the mountains and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know. Gonky, what do you think, man?
You would think the president, even in Iran, you would think the presidential's helicopter, though, and pilots would be IMC rated. You know, that was the case. I mean, that's an assumption.
Well, even Kobe's helicopter. I mean, so like the Kobe Bryant thing, that was inadvertent in IMC, and he was an instrument instructor. I think it was a CFII.
Was a helicopter instrument capable?
It was capable, but not certified anymore. So like they didn't maintain the certification. So dude, it's a different culture. It's a different, like, it's not.
Is there anything weird, like visual wise, with the rotor blades or anything different than fixed wing? Like as far as, you know, dangers of instrument flying? You
can get, you know, the spatial disorientation just from, you know, what your inner ear is saying, just like any other. I don't think it's, I've done practice, like when we had the Icarus device, you know, we practiced doing IMC or inadvertent in the IMC when I flew with the sheriff's office. I've got so much time flying instruments that to me, it's not a big deal. But somebody who is not flying instruments all the time, it is a big deal, you know. And I think the real big difference is just the areas that they operate. You know, in the mountains, you may only be clearing these peaks by 500 to 1,000 feet. You're not there. You don't have a whole lot of time and altitude to recognize, confirm, recover, like you do in a fixed wing aircraft. Now with no autopilot. Now a 212. I don't know. I mean, if you look at them, they're old helicopters. I don't know why the president is not flying in like some super fancy Leonardo AW139. Like there it is. Oh. That was when we did it in the Robinson. But I have done it in the OH-58 as well. But the I did. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, would you say pilots who have fixed wing instrument rated pilots are less likely to succumb to IMC? Yeah. In a helicopter.
I think so, because IMC is it's a mentality. It's a cross check, and the cross check is not different no matter what you're flying.
I got
because once you're moving at that speed in a helicopter, it's flying a lot like an airplane. You know, when slow speed regime, hover, out of ground effect hover, or in ground effect hover, that's where, you know, you're doing the dance. But once you're going, you know, 80 knots or whatever, it pretty much flies. But the thing is, it's more unforgiving. Once you get out of that nice, stable flight regime, then you get into trouble, and it's very hard to get back out.
Is the instrument panel standard, like the 6-pack?
I don't know about the 212. Like the Robinson, it was off to your left, you know, so it wasn't center. You know, it was like it was the center of the cockpit, but it wasn't like right in front of you.
Yep.
It's helicopter dependent, but I don't know what the 212 has. So, you know, most of those older helicopters are your standard, you know, like the Huey, you know, you got the big ADI. It just doesn't take much, especially in terrain.
Right.
We're not talking doing this in Louisiana where you've got all the way to, you know, I'm flying 5,000 feet. I got all the way to sea level to figure this out. You know, 5,000 feet there is side of the mountain.
Dude, that's probably a Huey they got back in the 70s when they were, you know, buddies with the US.
Yeah.
So it's probably pretty old.
I don't know, but
yeah.
What do you say?
Yeah.
He will be replaced by somebody equally horrific, and
Iranian people continue to suffer. A new supreme leader.
No, this is not the supreme leader. They're two different people. Right? Ayatollah is different than the president.
Supreme number 2.
They're in line.
Supreme.
I don't know. Now we're going to get canceled. We're going to have a fatwa.
Wait, am I bullet?
Fatwa is over your head now. Did you just say the small country of Iran?
I did not say the small.
You said the small country of Iran and really drove it in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Erkman 7, 12. 12, Doug, am I right? Roman
12.
numerals? 12. Similar
7
to
would be
Beam
BI.
NG, there's also a plane building sim called FlyOut. There's also a plane building sim called Flyout. It's in early access, and I'm no physics expert, but it's a good game. Isn't there a space one? Kerbal?
Yeah.
Kerbal? I heard the second one's not good.
That's what I've heard. We haven't tried it yet.
Captain Wrecked. It's an odd username after we just talked about. Tagged you on X in an Airwolf Bell 222 slalom clip you two mentioned a while back about Hollywood stunt. You'd never get insurance for that today. Hear me out, Gonky. If Heavy D can get a Blackhawk,
Okay.
and Cletus can get a racetrack and fly in a Blackhawk and own an airport, Mover can restore a Bell 222 to look like Airwolf. True or false?
I think true. Make them tell you no, bro.
Hit that sub button.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that's the goal right there.
You can do it.
Yeah. But it's got to
That'd
be
be
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, it would be awesome.
Yeah.
You take out the back and
Yes.
Luna can be Dom.
You would have to
be
put
Caitlin.
You'd have to put the Catum rockets on the bottom, and
The gun.
the guns would have to be permanently deployed.
No, dude, you can. It's 2024. We can.
Can you?
How
can
much?
You build
How much would it? If you build it, they will come,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Okay, if you're gonna dream, let's dream big.
I think the easiest part might be just getting a. I don't know. How hard would it be to get a gray flight suit?
The easiest part would be just getting the helicopter. Everything else
so.
after that. You don't think so?
Have you ever heard of money
Well,
and the lack thereof?
okay. Okay.
I can get an RC.
Well,
I can probably get one of
model.
Microsoft flights, huh?
You could get a model of it.
Yeah.
And pitch it to
Everything's
investors.
miniature. Why are all the miniatures? Yeah. Okay. This show is great, Gonky.
It's
We're doing so good.
Never mind.
You let me know when you get that thought. Nyla. I wonder if Nyla's the puppy. Hey guys, I have a question. A 26 leasing consultant, would it be wise to go Air National Guard or Army National Guard or go active? Are we talking flying? Because the answer is obviously Air National Guard if we're talking flying.
The other two, no.
Dude, I mean, so Daniel flew Army Guard Apaches.
Active?
Army Guard.
Oh, okay.
He gave us two options. He gave us Air National Guard, Army Guard, or active. Yeah. Leasing, I mean, you're the property guy. What do you think about leasing consultant in today's world?
Yeah, I would go Air National Guard if I were you, man.
Any of the three. Just go.
Just go.
Just get on the Uncle Sam's paycheck. Whatever you can. Clean the floors, mop the parking lot if you have to.
Actually, both of those, if we're talking flying, like Mover is talking about here or suggesting, the only one I would not recommend is the active.
Dude, if the economy's going bad, it's a job. It's a paycheck.
Again, I still wouldn't go active.
Okay.
Now, if things go sideways and we end up in World War III, well, everyone's going to be active. So,
okay,
that's fine.
All right. I don't know. What do you think they're going to make us do in World War III, Gonky?
You and me?
It's probably not going to be anything cool like flying jets.
Oh no, dude, we're going to be, I don't know,
the chaos.
We'll be the sanitary technicians at the base,
handing out towels at the gym.
Yeah, dude. Pulling them out of the igloo. Here you go, sir.
Yeah.
There you go.
Checking IDs at the exchange.
No, dude,
you're going to be bagging groceries, dude. True to your heritage, you will be bagging groceries.
No, for sure. You and I will be the urine analysis program managers.
Yeah. That's a new meaning for director of staff.
Correct. Whiz quiz specialist.
That's off the rails. Jim Howard says, please ruin Red Flag the Ultimate Game on YouTube. Okay. All right. Conquer says, what aircraft would you love to fly and what aircraft wouldn't you want to go up against? I'll answer that. I don't care about any aircraft. I'll go up against them all.
Well, which one would you love to fly, Mover?
Same answer. I just want to fly. Just
If you had to pick one, what's one airplane that you never flew that you would?
Raptor.
Raptor,
dude. Raptor or the A-10. I mean, the Raptor to just I want to just do some spaceship stuff, but the A-10 to shoot the gun.
Yeah. I think for me, man, it would be
Fat Amy.
Spitfire and F4. And then who don't I want to go up against? I don't want to go up against a Raptor.
Because Mover's in it.
No, because it's a Raptor.
F4 comes out tomorrow, sir.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
Aaron says, I've spent over 1,000 hours in the Kerbal. How'd you say it, Douglas? Kerbal?
We all said it Kerbal.
I thought it was Kerbal. Anyway, KSP 2 was just released too early, but it's getting better. Another year or so should be worth the purchase. There you go. Let me know. I like space. Scott
Manley says Kerbal, and he's the expert.
Okay. Don't know who that is, but great. Justin says the 82nd Airborne kicked off All-American Week today at the Pack Shed, where there was an iRacing tournament. Yes! Awesome! Currently number 2 in division lap times. As long as there's no instructor in the cockpit with you. Jander's back says, Mover flying the Snoopy doghouse. Dude, I would. She's not here yet. Hey, we got a show to do. So talk about this.
Yeah, here we go. So the Navy had paused, another name for grounded, T-45 operations. So they've just lifted it, and the majority of T-45 Goshawk jet trainer fleet is no longer grounded following an operational pause that allowed the engine failure aboard one of the jets on April 12th. So they had a couple of engine failures powered by a Rolls-Royce non-afterburning engine. I remember when I flew it as a student, it wasn't particularly good, but I never had any issues with it. I guess it had something to do with the fan blades. It says the T-45s were returned to flight status contain fan blades that have been meticulously and methodically inspected, as well as blades produced by a different manufacturer that have more than 1.6 million flight hours. So apparently they have a lot of faith in those blades. So they've been using the T-45 since 97. We talked about it before on the show. You know, they're just like the Air Force. The Navy's looking to bring on a new jet trainer. They haven't decided yet. So hopefully they can band-aid this thing to make it to the end. When I flew the T-45, it was some tailpipe fire issues that they were having and engine stall. So anytime you're going to dynamically maneuver that airplane, we were told to lock the throttle and don't move it, or else it would stall and you might have a fire. So this is something a little bit different. It looks like they had a couple Class A incidents and nobody was hurt, fortunately. And she's back up flying, which is good because you don't want the training to get backlogged when there's already a shortage of aviators. What say you?
We're so like, I feel like we're in an alternate reality because I just,
it's weird, isn't it?
Or maybe
we've got more of these stories too.
maybe I should save this monologue for later, but or maybe like with age comes the reality and the cynicism. But I feel like when I first started, you know, everything worked, or I thought everything was going to work, and I'm sure it didn't, but I thought everything was going to work. And now it's like, dude, we're like the lost city of Atlantis. You know, you just look and you're like, we can't train people. The jets that we're using to train people are falling apart. We're grounding them. We don't have a replacement. We can't produce a replacement in any reasonable amount of time. They keep throwing out ideas. They're like, oh, well, what about the T7? We're going to put that. Maybe that'll be, or the T50. That'll be another, like, it's amazing to me how we've fallen to this level. Like, how did we get here?
Well, 20 years blowing holes in the dirt, spending $1 gazillion doing it didn't help, to be honest. Because that whole conflict where really nothing was I'd argue nothing was accomplished. We burned through valuable flight hours on every asset, ground and air. And it took a lot of resources that would have otherwise went to, developing, maintaining, and upgrading and enhancing, our military. I mean,
yeah, that's an interesting point. If 9/11 doesn't happen, 2001 doesn't happen, what are we talking about today? Are we talking about?
It's not even 9/11, man. Even if 9/11 happens, you go over there, whoever did it, you punch them in the face as hard as you can so they never do it again, you leave.
Yeah.
Right?
But, okay. Regardless of the reason, a world where we didn't go to the desert and 20 years later,
what would we have?
What would we have?
We'd have a lot nicer, shinier toys, man.
Because that argument could be made for all of it, right? Pilot training, we probably wouldn't have the T-38C. We wouldn't be trying to milk that for as long. I mean,
that's what I'm saying, man.
That's interesting. Yeah.
When a bunch of your budget, and also think about this, what was the threat? Low threat CAS. Well, let's spend a bunch of money developing a low collateral bomb, and let's spend a bunch of money on low threat CAS stuff. Well, now all of a sudden, it's like overnight, it's super high threat. Everything has to be 9th gen stealth, like, I mean, right. There's even talk of a stealth tanker. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? So, I mean, it went from I don't know.
Well, I mean, some of that was always going on. I mean, I remember, when I was tip of the spear, we were still talking about what's the next, like we were training towards the big threat. We weren't training towards, like, in the downtime, we were talking about what's the big threat, not going back to flying circles over the desert. But the interesting thing with this, specific to trainers, and I don't know about interesting or sad, the more this happens, the more they push off training to the later levels. And that is the dangerous part, is because what ends up happening is the timeline is the timeline, and we need warm bodies in seats. And so what you do is you go, well, we'll waive that. They'll get it at the FRS. We'll waive that. They'll get it, in their fleet squadron. Like, we keep kicking the can for some of these, because you're already seeing it with IFF. We saw it, when we were flying T-38s about, they kicked it to us. You see that because they don't have the capacity to do it. I mean, I did a mishap report on this because the first time this kid had ever done night tanking seed was the night of this mishap in his MQT ride. And it's like, well, holy crap. Why didn't he do that in the B course? Well, because we didn't, X, Y, and Z. So when the training pipeline is perhaps the most, or maybe the second most important thing you can do, like logistics and then training. Because if you show up without the tools or without the knowledge, then you are just a target. You might as well just go out there and be like, well, we just put a drone out there because, we didn't get the quality that we thought we were going to do.
You can have the best top of the line equipment on earth, like 10 times better than your adversary. But if the people operating it aren't properly trained, it's all worthless.
And that's
training is the most important thing, man.
And that's not a hit on the people that are doing the job. I have no doubt that men and women that are flying jets right now are top of the line, tip of the spear. But the reality is when you can't do it right, you got two options. You don't do it at all, which they're not gonna. The government will never just not do it, or you cut corners. And
those are the people that are probably thinking what we're saying. I mean,
or they're getting out, or they're going, guess what?
Yeah.
Hey, I did my 10, see ya. So then you're losing that experience, because by the time they get to that 10-year point, they're so jaded, because they're like, dude, I don't want to be on a losing team.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep, like, you're not setting me up for success. Right. There's your retention problem. You're not paying me. You're not setting me up for success. And oh, by the way, you've just made me do a bunch of nonsense that has nothing to do with being the best aviator I can possibly be.
Yeah, I never gave it down, man, as an IP in the Hornet. Never gave it down.
Santa Claus.
I'm very proud of that. No, it's not because I'm a Santa Claus, dude. It's because I knew what mistakes we were going to make and I briefed accordingly. But I did kick a guy out. And it was because of problems with training and constraints on training. He was basically pushed through in T-45s because at the time they didn't have the money. They were like, it was a numbers game. They had to get so many out the door, right, to meet their quota. And he, if they would have identified the problem like they did and actually fixed the problem back when they should have, he would have probably made it through. But they didn't. And then, those basic problems that you have, they later on they manifest, right? Because it's all building blocks. So, I mean, it's not good. And he's lucky, he's lucky he didn't hurt anybody.
Right? And that's the thing, is what does lack of training result in? Casualties at war, casualties in peacetime. The casualties in peacetime manifest as mishaps.
Yeah. Completely unavoidable with proper training.
You need time in the seat and you need training.
Yeah.
That's the two basic things. If you can't get those, then what are we doing? It's like when you talk about on the civilian side, you're like, well, I want to, have an aviation program for my business. It's like, if you're not going to get properly trained pilots and fly the thing, you might as well not go fly commercial, because it's going to be cheaper in the long run.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Anyway. All right. Well, thank you for that. It's a good talk. We'll talk more here in a minute. Chris, this gives you $2.
Thanks, Chris.
Troy says, hey, y'all, barely graduated high school, but movers make them tell you no inspired me back in 2019. God, I just recently got accepted to CSULB. Douglas, what is that?
Hold on. Let's ask the
Colorado State University, Lima Bravo, for aerospace engineering.
California State, Long Beach. California State University, Long Beach.
Hell yeah, dude. I bet there's some.
Nice. Keep going, mover. Back on.
Trying to be a pilot. Autism. Oh, no. Thank you so much. Sorry.
Thanks, Troy. That's awesome, man.
Joe says, see, Airwolf. Imagine this, Gonky. We could not just blatantly make it Airwolf. We'd have to call it like Mover Wolf or something.
Moo Wolf.
Moo Wolf. It's Moo Wolf. Oh, perfect. No cow.
Oh, dude.
Anyway, back to his comment. Santa Gonky. Yes or no?
No.
Question. In your debrief with students,
yes,
on average, how many times did you say the word dude?
Probably a lot. And I cursed a lot more back then too. So
you
it
cursed
was
at your students?
I just in my general use of the English language. So
no, it's a verb, it's a noun, it's everything.
I think it helped with keeping them engaged, but that's just me.
You should try that with this show. See if it gets more viewers.
No, I'm trying to be better, mover.
We're currently at 7. Now. We went from 757, which I was going to make a comment about how that's the last awesome Boeing jet, and then we jumped to 767,
which is pretty good.
Still decent. Still there.
Decent.
No whistleblowers.
No whistleblowers yet.
Yeah. Hey. So speaking of threats, right? So we have the threat of training, but now we have the threat of our adversaries. And so China has built the world's first, allegedly, unconfirmed, dedicated drone carrier. And that's what it looks like. So there's that.
Wow.
And it says the ship has not been reported. However, many of the circumstances surrounding it remain a mystery. Hidden away in a shipyard far upriver from Shanghai is a new aircraft carrier. It's China's fourth, a ship whose mere existence has not been reported before. Only China can build an aircraft carrier in relative secrecy. The ship, launched in December 2022, was not reported until now. Surrounded by mystery, the Naval News is analyzing it. It's undergoing sea trials now. They're calling it the Type 3 Fujian. It's very different, though. It actually is smaller than regular aircraft carriers, with a flight deck approximately 1/3 the length of half the width of a U.S. Navy or Chinese Navy supercarrier. For comparison, slightly shorter but wider than a World War II escort carrier. It would be impossible to operate fixed-wing aircraft from it, but its straight deck arrangement would be anachronistic, not allowing aircraft to take off and land at the same time. Well, not if they're drones. So the analysis is it is a marked runway, but island superstructure. Beyond that, it's unusual. Hull is widely spaced, catamaran. It's often featured in carrier concepts because they allow a large deck area. No one's built one before. shows that the flight deck's very low, and unlikely there's a hangar deck below. It's wide enough to comfortably operate aircraft or drones with a wide wingspan of 65 feet. I'm not going to use the commie units on that one. Potential roles: 2 large drone motherships. All these are opposing forces in training, known as Electronic Blue Force. It's possible this ship too is designed to support that mission. If the new ship's intended to support large fixed-wing UAVs at sea, as design suggested, it's the first drone carrier in the world. Let's go back and look at it one more time. Nope, I'm in scrolly mode. So check that out, man. You're the expert of the sea here. What do you see?
I see this is Supreme Leader's RC carrier for his RC naval airplanes. he's probably laughing. He's like, the Americans think I'm building a drone carrier.
He's got a 1/32 replica of a Tomcat. Next thing,
it's quite large.
This is for their new movie.
Yeah, it's like, we'll have build it bigger here in China.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, if it's not a movie prop, it's pretty scary.
Well, and that's the thing is, China has been increasing their drone operations. We've talked like every show for the last couple of shows. We've talked about drones that China, you know, the autonomy, the drone swarms. I mean, imagine this: you get this thing parked off the coast, or even not the coast, parked near a carrier strike group, and a drone swarm that now splits into 6. Like, remember the one we talked about that it could split into multiple? So dude, you could easily see a situation where it's not good.
No. No. And I'm sure it's a lot cheaper to build a drone boat than it is a people carrying boat.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've talked about it quite a bit, and the whole landscape of like, what is drone warfare going to look like? How do we defend from it? How do we, you know, like, well, it's pretty scary.
I didn't add this because it's more ground based, but China was just testing. I did see this in the news recently, a ground based vehicle that specifically uses sensors to target drones. So it had the Gatling gun, like a 20 mic or a 30 mic, and it would target aerial drones, shoot them down. Like, it would be embedded with the tanks.
Was it a drone?
No, it was a wheeled vehicle, armored vehicle that would, you know, move with the armor, shoot down the drone, and then it could also be used to be shooting at other, you know, other stuff. Like, it wasn't just, I'll just do drones, but the sensors on it were such that it was designed specifically for the drone mission, because they're recognizing this threat themselves. Like, they're watching. The world is watching right now the battlefield in Ukraine and in the Middle East, and they're going, what's working and what's not. And one of the things that's probably the hardest to defend against is that, you know, dude with the backpack that takes a drone, and now he's got immediate close air support within, you know, whatever the range is. So it's definitely something to be concerned about, especially if they can now put it on a carrier and it goes out to sea. Now, granted, a carrier this size, we could track it from the moment, like, we're tracking, like, it's not going to be stealth where we know where it is, but
yeah, it's more the I mean, this is, you know, if it's their first one, it's, you know, anything that's the first, it's, you know, there's going to be testing and envelope expansion, stuff like that. But, you know, it appears that they are doing it. Not, to me, that's the scary. It's like, hey, now we're behind, maybe, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't know what's going on in
exactly,
super squirrel secret labs, but
that's what I'm saying. But
if not, I would encourage someone to begin.
Correct. If you're watching this and you're the guy in the skiff,
take this seriously. Talk to your congressperson and
do
go
something.
Yeah, hey boss, you might want to read this, because our shiny fat Amy won't do a whole lot when it never gets off the ground / carrier.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
scary, man.
I know. Okay, well, enough for the scariness. We have a couple chats.
Luna Wolf.
Thomas. Perfect.
That's awesome.
Luna Wolf. It's not. It's only 8 o'clock. She's not going to be here yet. Moki Wolf. I don't like that one. I'm all aboard of a Luna Wolf. I think Luna Wolf would be, because you could take the patch and instead of like this, you could just have this. Like your patch could just be like a hybrid of
a high five.
Yeah. You know. So, dude, perfect. It's a therapy helicopter.
Is it?
Luna has a Luna Mobile, and then she has Luna Wolf. So if we need to go get somewhere fast and help people feel better, it make me feel better.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know, man.
If I had Luna Wolf.
When I used to watch Airwolf, when they would play the song and you see the rotor start spooling, you know some bad guy's about to die.
True.
Which is
true.
Is that therapeutic? Maybe.
It depends on who's doing the
who's doing the killing
and who's doing the killing. I mean,
true.
It's all a matter of perspective.
See, there it is again. That's right.
Anyway, okay. So Gonky, you wanted to talk about
yes. What do we have? Add to stage. Here we go. All right. So we reported a while back they had the Osprey crash. They grounded them. They brought them back. They didn't really find anything wrong. I shouldn't say that. They didn't really fix anything. More inspections, a little bit of training. And then here lately, military Ospreys can't fly more than 30 minutes from landing airfield months after grounding lifted. So it's firewall. Boo. All right. It's basically all V-22s, Navy, Air Force, Marine. And if you could read the article, it just talks about it gives them a chance to be, it's just a safety measure that they put in, right? So as far as bringing it back to service, I think they're probably going to do it in stages until they can either put some sort of actual fix in the airplane or come up with some sort of procedure that keeps, the failure from happening again, at least a good chance of it not happening before they open the envelope all the way. But I suspect this will probably go away. How long is it going to take? I don't know. Mover. What do you think?
Well, my limitation's 30 minutes too. I feel like, I mean, it's not a bad limit to have.
Well, the problem is okay, which we'll talk about it a little bit about it here later on the show. But if like for the Navy, it's a huge issue because now you can't use the V-22 like you want to use it.
You cannot be a COD.
Can't be a COD. And then, 30 minutes. Let's hope what if the bad guys are 32 minutes away, or what if I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like it's ridiculous to me to have, and it's good for the air crews because at least they get to remain proficient flying the airplane and you're exercising the machine. But as far as operational, and any kind of tactics, I think obviously it's gonna really handcuff that airframe and the community. You'd imagine. It's no different than like the 4G Hornets that we had. It's like, well, these are okay, awesome. We can do a couple of air navs,
red air.
Maybe, yeah.
Limited maneuvering red air. I was always 4G limited myself.
Well, yeah, but it's nice if the airplane's not, just in case, So anytime you put a limitation,
I'd be curious to see, how much fudge factors in that. To your point, like, what I'm saying, like 32 minutes. Okay, well, if I need to, can I go 45?
Well, if World War III kicks off, these limitations are probably going to go away sooner than later. But I don't know. I think it's one of those things. They were like, listen, we need to keep our men and women flying these things. So at least the and the maintainers maintaining them. We don't want to lose the the skills as far as operating this thing. So they got to do something.
even if you don't do the mission, you still have to fly. You have to do something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, when you finally do get it worked out and get it fixed, because they will. I mean,
yeah.
we go
Yeah.
into the too big to fail thing, right? They're not going to send
Right.
these things to the boneyard. So they'll eventually get it figured out. And you don't want, when they get it figured out, that's when everybody, what was it you were talking about where, you know, the instructors, the people who could green up an instructor, nobody's now current because nobody's
Oh, yeah.
flying. And yeah,
So there's no instructors to green up anybody.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to have somebody that, you know, even
Well-
if it's limited.
Well, there's that, and everybody. Well, if you've flown any kind of airplane, you know that an airplane sitting on the ground, that's the worst thing you can do to it, right?
Oh yeah.
So any kind of flying machine is, if you're exercising it, using it, that's actually better for maintaining all your systems, right? Because you know the other 99 systems get operated and exercised, and all the rubber seals and all that nonsense. So I think it's a step in the right direction. It's just too bad that it's you know, it is what it is.
Well, it's on the hot seat, right? Every time, you know, every time something goes wrong, it's going to immediately become political, and you know, it's your turn. They've just had a lot of time.
I know. Well,
It'll be
it's
your turn.
I mean, I think it's going to be an expensive fix. That's
Yeah. Wasn't it
Right.
supposed
It's
to
that-
be
it's that
Marine
clutch thing,
One?
right?
Like, wasn't that the plan at one point?
Yeah, but didn't they went to a regular helicopter, right? They've already
Right, because
chosen.
it couldn't. It like they were like, I can't do that. So
Yeah. The I think, I don't know. I have my own opinions about the Osprey, but I don't want to bully anybody, so I'm just going to keep them to myself.
it was in Transformers.
Yeah, what was it? Yeah, you're right. It was. So it was
Yeah.
the A10.
Let's see here from the people in the back or in the front. Wayne Rowe says Mo Wolf's Wizzo's call sign is Bubbles. Bubbles in the back. Joe, thank you, says I was on board with Luna Wolf until Gonky bullied. Gonky. Let's see here. M. Huff Stutter says, hey, Mover, you dudes should do a segment on the CIA operating a modified U-2 off the Ranger back in 1964, built one that could trap, full stop.
I remember reading something about that. Yeah.
Sounds like a Gonky production. It's just a boat.
That's right. It is a boat.
Yeah. Dan O'Grady says, happy to see a couple Osprey air demos before this. Perspective.
Perspective. That's right, dude.
Dory Meme says, hi, Mover and Gonky. Have you read about the F-16 mishap in Singapore? Would love to listen to your insights on that. No, I haven't.
I'm curious.
Singapore. I don't. Component malfunctions, what it says. Pitch rate gyroscope failure. How'd they get that information so fast? Flight data recorder recovered from the crashed F-16 showed that its pitch rate gyroscopes gave erroneous inputs to the flight control computer. This led to the pilot being unable to control the plane at takeoff. Oof.
Oh, wow.
Ministry said that the simultaneous failure of the gyroscope seen in the May 8th incident, rare curtains. I've never heard of that. Any one time, 3 pitch rate gyroscopes are used, and on the average of 2 is taken for the data for the flight control computer. For this incident, I think there are 2 that were simultaneously at fault. And because there were 2 at fault, the correct data was voted out. The spare 4th gyroscope, which will then be asked to provide its data, will also be voted out because data is not in sync with the 2 faulty ones. This makes the aircraft almost uncontrollable. Caused the crash now identified, said the Singapore's F-16. That is crazy fast. That was the 8th. Today's the 20th. This article was on the 18th. So 10 days, they were telling everybody what happened. We don't do that there. But they had grounded the F-16s temporarily, and they're also going to buy Fat Amy, which will also vote you off the island, too, if it deems necessary.
So the F-16 doesn't have like a, like the, I remember the Hornet, like it would degrade all the way to a set of known fixed values. I forget what it was called.
Yeah,
So like
but
if you lost all your sensors, it would go to
if it
known
thinks
fixed-
that Right, but the problem here is that it didn't think that it needed to. Like if all three, like it couldn't vote it off the island,
I
it
gotcha.
would have degraded. But in this case, it believed that the data was erroneous, and therefore was like, no, this one's obviously the bad one. And we've seen that before. I mean, I remember reading that like Airbus stuff where if they do the disagree, and it decides which one it thinks is right, you could have issues.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a fly-by-wire kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know if the Airbus has known fixed values. I know the Hornet did, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's well, modern fighter planes are designed to be inherently unstable, so they're maneuverable. So you need the gee whiz flight control stuff to make it work.
Yeah. Let's see. Vor Axelon says, "Hi fellas, I love this channel and I like your perspectives. Mental Health Minute is my favorite part of the show. Was wondering if you guys ever heard of Vets Talking on YouTube. You both would be welcome on there as guests."
Mm-mm.
I feel like
I've never heard
exchanged
of
an
it.
email with somebody about that, but I don't know whatever happened to it. If we have, I apologize because a lot goes on around here. Gonky.
Yes.
Mishaps. Unfortunately, there was a no. Yeah, Doug.
Sorry.
Jump the gun.
I was looking the other way and just pushed the button. Nobody.
It happens.
So yeah, this is actually serious. So there was a fatality, Class A mishap. U.S. Air Force instructor dies after the ejection seat activates. This is a picture from the 82nd Training Wing. So this was at NJEP. And obviously we're not going to speculate or talk about it, but it was Captain Robertson tragically died, likely due to a faulty Martin Baker ejection seat on the T6A, which I'm not sure that's even like, I don't know who put that out, whether that was likely, but it says previous issues with Martin Baker seats have prompted fear of malfunctioning seats. They work by being armed on the ground, assisting pilots in emergency situations. I don't know that that's accurate. And I think it's unlikely that the Air Force put that out. Because like I just said, we're not, the military is going to wait until the Accident Investigation Board or the SIB and then the AIB before it's going to put anything out. The AIB is what's going to go public. So it's unlikely that they've put out that. But it could be because they quoted aviation lawyer John Kettles, who shared, as someone who's flown an aircraft with an ejection seat, sure, you want it to be able to work when you need it. But frankly, if I was flying one of these now, I would be more concerned right now about an ejection seat launching me out on a routine flight, even when I don't want to. I don't think I would trust the words of an aviation lawyer being the key word that I don't trust. But like, what? We don't know. We don't know what happened. We know it's a very tragic loss of life. From what I understand, there were some very heroic efforts to save this man's life, and it's very sad. It's very tragic. And, when the Accident Investigation Board releases their reports, then we can, talk about the causes and stuff. This is just wild speculations, what this is. This is nonsense. How do ejection seat works. Yeah. Okay. Here's some better stuff. He was a coach to aspiring aviators. There's a YouTube video. So I guess he was out there inspiring people. But yeah, don't trust people who wildly start speculating, especially somebody who's an aviation lawyer who has no idea about, his ejection seat experience is probably an L39, But I don't know, Gonky, what do you think, man?
Well, it drives home the fact that, anytime you're dealing with explosives and rockets and stuff, unfortunately, accidents happen. I'd argue ejection seats are very safe as far as, if you look back historically, they've definitely saved a lot more lives than taken. This is a very unfortunate case, and it will be interesting to see kind of what the fallout is. I did not fly the T6, and correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't there ejection seat issues when it was first introduced, like when you flew it. And did you fly it in like 08, right? 07?
I flew it in 2006.
And
And
six, there was no.
That happened after.
Yeah.
It's very similar to the NACI seat because it's the leg garter thing.
Okay.
I don't remember if we had the thigh strap. I know we had the boot. Might have been like one of the leg straps or whatever. But you know, so it's not like a Viper or, you know, where it's got a flip up handle and a pin or anything like that. It's basically a seat between your or a handle between your legs and then a pin. You know, and you take both of, you know, you take that and the canopy pin out. I had, when I flew it, there was never a concern about that. There's always a concern about ejection seat, right? There's a concern that if it's not pinned or if some part fails, you can hook something, you know, you can be rooting around in there and accidentally activate the seat. Any of that stuff could happen. It's just a safety thing. We always, you know, if you fly an ejection seat aircraft, you're always worried about something like that. When I flew it, I don't remember there being any kind of issues with the seat. It's a good seat. It saved a lot of lives. I mean,
yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's, you know, if it is a, you know, a design, I mean, if it's made by a human being, it can, you know, it can fail. But,
yeah.
You know, when I was going through training, when I got out of the Tweet, which had some sort of shoestring ejection seat sitting on a 30 millimeter cannon thing. But anyways, when I got to a real seat, the IP, one of the first IPs I flew with, he said, "Dude, when you get in the seat, get these strapped on as soon as you can." And he said, when you're taxiing back and you're unstrapping, always leave these hooked. You can unstrap your waist, your legs, everything. Always leave these because if the seat fires, you'll be attached to the parachute. It'll give you your best chance of surviving. So that's something I did throughout my entire career. I always kept at least the shoulder harnesses strapped as long as I could. And I was always a little superstitious with getting in and out of the seat. You know, I would get in there and I would want to get strapped in. I felt a little bit weird sitting in an ejection seat, not strapped in, you know. That was just me. Did you ever feel like that, Mover? Like sitting in a
but sometimes it happened. Like,
it does,
you know, I've had situations where you're in a hurry, you know, next thing you know, you're like, holy crap, oh crap, you know.
Yep.
Or you find yourself in a situation where it didn't go as expected. I mean, your mind's somewhere else. You're thinking about the sortie. You're thinking about check in on time. Something, you know, it's always something out of your habit patterns. You know, the other thing to think about too is sunshades, sun shelters.
Yep.
You know, making sure that the seat was safe there, because it doesn't matter how strapped in you are at that point. If that seat goes,
you're done.
You know, you're going into a canopy. So I don't know what happened here.
Yeah.
We will find out. I know people saw it, which is, you know, you feel for the family, you feel for the you know, if there was a student involved, you know, if there was a student nearby, you feel for the maintainers that did everything they could to try to help him.
Or the maintainers who maintain the seat, man. I mean, they got to be thinking like, did I forget something?
Well, and that's the same thing. You know, when you and I are talking about it offline, it's like, well, you know, I'm the last guy who flew it. Am I thinking, what, you know, did I do something? You know, if I flew it last, you know, there's just so many different variables that when tragedy strikes a squadron, everybody, at least decent people, are like, what could I have done to save this man? You know, what could I have done to have prevented it? What did I do that maybe affected that? Was I the last guy in that seat? And did I do something, you know, or the maintainer that worked on it? Or is there any way we could have prevented it and stopped the error chain before it happened? But in the absence of that, all you can do is be there for the family, honor his legacy and honor his memory. I don't know if he had kids, I didn't see, but you know, Folds of Honor will probably, if he does, you know, they'll step in and help his family with educational scholarships. So,
hey, Mover, from I think when you hit the cord on your mic there, it's cutting out a little bit. Just saying. I mean, I'm not the tech expert among us, so I probably don't know what I'm talking about, but
I don't know.
I see in the chat there that some people are hearing it too. So I thought maybe it was me, so I just shut up. But
Let's see.
But once again, could be you with the tech issues. So
It could be. I don't hear it now, so
no, you're good now. But whenever you touch that cord, when you move your hand, it cut out. But what do I know, dude? I'm a Luddite, man. I don't. Yeah.
How about now?
It sounds great. Sounds
Okay.
awesome. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's sad, man. What happened to that guy? I hope we find out so we can not do it again.
Yes. We're going to sit here in awkward silence now. I'm not going to talk. This is going to cut out.
No, dude, you're good. You're good. You're back.
Scouts in the Sky says memorial piano burn for John on 28 May at Shepherd.
Wow.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Dory Meme says wouldn't startup pre-flight procedures catch any issues with gyros on F-16 before takeoff? Nope. I mean, the flickus bit might, but if it failed between ground ops and takeoff, which is when things usually fail, you know. PR. Oh yeah, PR pitch roll yaw lights. I remember those lights now. Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready for a TX course. Somebody please send me to one. Toby DCS World. 41 days until Gonky lands at the Hornet Chul School Discord. Just saying.
Yeah. It might take me a few minutes to get on that whole Discord thing, but looking forward to it.
Yep. All right. Well, Gonky.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of.
Yeah. All right. So the demand for older Navy-based cargo planes surges after the Navy stand down of the Osprey fleet. And we just got done talking about the 30-minute handcuffs on the Osprey and how it would affect things operationally. And for the Navy, it's a big deal because they chose the Osprey to take the spot of the C2, which was basically the carrier replenishment aircraft, twin engine turboprop they've been using for many years. So there's one squadron left. There's 15 airplanes, and it's in Naval Air Station Norfolk. Yeah, I know. The CO, the skipper over there is Tweedledum, which is awesome. Call sign. What kind of scares me is though they have the plan was 2026 to decom these last 15 C2s, and having been in a squadron that was decom, so as in the Navy VFA 125, the Legacy Hornet training squadron on the West Coast, we got shut down. And the last I was there the last 2 years, and the money kind of runs out, and this is planned out beforehand. So now the Osprey is down. The East Coast C2s are basically taking care of global logistics when usually they used to have a West Coast C2 operation as well, and they would share the globe, if you will. Now the guys in Norfolk are doing it all themselves with 15 airplanes, and these are older airplanes that were earmarked to be taken out of service. So it doesn't say in the article, but I wonder if they've increased the funding, because like I said, when we were standing down the Hornet rag, the money was drying up, and you could definitely see it in the readiness of the airplanes. It wasn't so much of a safety issue because we were schoolhouse, not operational. But when you're talking, there's real world stuff going on now. So I think the COD mission is probably even, more important. Not that it ever was not important. And I just hope that the men and women that are operating, maintainers, pilots, everybody who are operating those airplanes are getting the parts, funding they need to operate those airplanes safely, because I know they're old, and I know they're probably working them harder than the plan was, because you can't plan for something like this to happen with the Osprey. And typically, the money spigot isn't flowing very well towards the end of an aircraft's lifespan, at least the way the government does it. So, but my hat's off to them. The COD, as a when I was flying in a jet, I didn't envy the COD guys, but when I saw how they lived on deployment, there was a little bit of envy. So they never spent any nights on the boat. I don't think they ever did any night traps, and they seem to have more smiles than I did. So, but yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Mover?
I rode on the COD once.
You did. You blessed it with your presence.
Yeah, I rode on the COD once. So that's probably why they're shutting down. Is I rode
Yeah,
on that as a result of that. Oh man, so it's just like everything else, dude. We just talked about this. We're in a square corner. We keep backing ourselves up, and our replacements suck. And then the old thing is old, and then we got rid of a whole bunch, and now what?
Yeah, I'm actually shocked the Navy picked the Osprey to replace the C2. I mean, like, what could be more simpler and cheaper to operate than a twin engine turboprop airplane? Instead of this
if we had Wombat, we
complicated.
could talk about that, but Wombat refused.
Well, yeah, he has other
He's
obligations.
mad at you.
He's mad at you, probably.
Mad at you.
Yeah.
Mad at Gonky.
But I don't know. And you can't put an F-35 engine in the Osprey. I mean, I don't know. Like you said, it's like the replacements kind of suck, and I don't know. It's discouraging.
Well, I guess your mailbags are canceled, so you can't. No more mail for Gonky. No more care packages.
Dude, they built a gazillion dollar aircraft carrier so they can have wires and an LSO pad, and so your plane can have a hook and land. Just build another freaking twin engine turboprop. We already have the ship that can handle it. Like, why you got to mess around with, I don't know, tilt rotor?
Money.
Oh yeah,
Money.
Yeah,
money.
You're right.
Nothing from the chat, so I'm going to move on to. All I asked for was fighters with freaking laser beams. Dude, what's going on with that? So I just saw this article recently, and it's not good. So it says another dead end for airborne lasers. Air Force scraps effort to mount directed energy weapon on fighters. Take your cookies elsewhere. So this was their high self-protection, high energy self-demonstrator. No, sorry. High energy laser demonstrator, or SHIELD. They probably got a copyright strike is what happened. Dude, look at that. You could shoot down lasers or shoot down other jets or missiles. Yeah, it would neutralize incoming air-to-air and surface-to-air missiles, as well as ballistic missiles potentially targeted U.S. forces abroad. The Air Force had planned on SHIELD taking flight for the airborne testing aboard the Eagle jet sometime in fiscal 2024, which is rapidly about to run out.
Right.
That's probably why it got canceled. But any plans to complete the weapon put in operation now appear to have been abandoned, according to service officials. The SHIELD program has concluded, and there are no plans for further testing and evaluation. Air Force has not installed a laser pod on a fighter jet test bed. In March, AFSOC revealed that it abandoned plans to mount an airborne high-energy laser system, on AC-130, citing technical challenges, even with significant end-to-end high-power operation during ground tests. Through SHIELD and related efforts, the Air Force Research Lab has made significant advances in readiness of airborne high-energy laser technology. We continue to mature airborne HAIL weapons technology for operational needs of today and tomorrow. Iran conducted the largest ballistic missile attack on American forces abroad ever in 2020. See, we've talked about this. You need these to shoot down the little drone guys.
With lasers.
Yeah, high-cost alternatives to air defense, such as the $125,000 a pop Coyote interceptor, which, by the way, happens to be the cost of the Corvette Z06.
You can have that or an interceptor.
Or lasers.
Or lasers.
Save your money and buy Corvettes. $2 million a shot, ship launch, standard missile too. $2 million will get me a full season of probably Xfinity racing as a driver. So you could sponsor Mover, or you could shoot one standard missile -2. To that end, the Army training, sir, recently deployed a pair of ground-based laser weapons overseas to help counter incoming drones. We've talked about investing heavily in development of more powerful systems designed to counter even fast-moving cruise missiles. Meanwhile, the Pentagon is spending $1 billion per year on at least 31 directed energy programs. Okay, so we got some other options. Deploying airborne laser weapons for missile defense has been a goal since Air Force Boeing 747, the Y'all airborne laser test bed. Y'all won. Knocked ballistic missiles out of the sky during tests in the 2000s. Why are we saying are we not still in the 2000s? Even before the update, in the missile attacks on U.S. troops, the Pentagon's 2019 Missile Defense Review, which you feel old? That was half a decade ago. Suggested that developing scalable, efficient, and compact high-energy laser technology holds the potential to provide a future cost-effective capability to destroy boosting missiles in the early part of the trajectory. And that mounting laser weapons aboard unmanned aerial vehicles. Oh, dude, drones with lasers.
Oh, dude, that's like that's straight out of Terminator.
Yeah,
100%.
Second problem. So the first problem is power generation. Lasers require a lot of power. Second problem is the beam itself. Even if you generate enough power, the atmospheric turbulence involved with the operating a fighter jet in combat makes it nearly impossible to maintain a coherent laser beam for long enough to successfully engage a ballistic missile in flight. Gonky, what I'm hearing is we could probably, Gonky Mover Industries could probably come up with a proposal and get 20 million. Doesn't have to work. We could just propose how they fix it.
Oh, dude, develop an external tank that all it is just
so don't tell them now. Don't tell them now. We'll come up with this. We'll go get like an off-the-shelf Generac.
Needs its own separate fuel system so we can run gasoline through it.
Yeah, it'll be propane, propane petrochemicals, LP gas.
Oh, dude.
Oh, man. So then they said the Air Force is rethinking potential applications of the laser weapon technology through the SHIELD program. Let's have a dialogue, he says. Dialogue is code for more money getting changed hands. After many years of development, Hail weapons are now a battlefield reality. The game-changing features of Hail weapons, deep magazine, scalable effects, and speed of light engagement, combined with the potential logistics benefits of a weapon that effectively uses jet fuel for ammunition or propane petrochemical, makes air platform integration a natural step. Damn it, Jared. I wanted lasers. You gave me none. What do we have to say about this, Gonky?
Well, I remember when we were just getting AISA in the Super Hornet, like we were having generator problems. All the avionics and the toys draw big loads. So like you put so to speak. So you put a laser on there, you pull the trigger, all of a sudden all your displays go out your door, you lose your the whole thing just shuts down, dude. So
wasn't that why we couldn't turn anything on until the generators were online? It was a carryover from the I forget. I think you're right. Don't turn the radar. I think it was don't turn the radar on until you had both engines online. Whereas with the old mech radar, like as soon as you had one on, it's like you turn everything on because one generator would hold it. But in the Super, not so much. So maybe it's fixed now. Here is the problem. It's a tragic loss not to have the hell, because now who is going to be able to say, on my command, unleash hell?
Dude, I'm sure they've taken that name and just let's put on this project.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like,
I mean, they
you could be an agent of the SHIELD unleashing hell.
They kind of had it on that 7.4, right?
Yeah.
That's probably why they use a
7.4 can generate. Look, dude, it's got chemtrail generators. It's got all the power in the world.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It was probably a cargo jet with like diesel generators running at full steam inside just to run the laser.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. I don't know.
if Wombat's aliens gave us cold fusion, problem solved.
We could do it. That's right. Yeah.
He should make a phone call for us.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if this technology is going to come back in a future time, most likely.
It's a spoofer. They want us to believe they've given up on it.
Maybe. Yeah. Tell them we've quit when we haven't.
That's what I usually do, except I just quit.
But you actually just
quit. It's a spoofer. They're like, you're not really quitting. I'm like, oh, yes, I am.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Surprise.
That's funny, dude.
Sax Flyer says, hey, Mover and Gonky, I'm shipping out to Boston, OCS, on July 21st after I got selected for student naval aviator. What advice do you have for the whole Navy flight school process? Don't be a douche.
Yeah, don't be a douche. So it's been about 22 years since I've been OCS, but
20 years, Gonky, today.
20 good years today.
And the Air Force still thinks you're a 10-year major.
Correct. Dude, OCS, you just got to play the game. It's not the real Navy. Just don't break yourself. You can't do as many push-ups as they want you to do or sit-ups. So play the game, do a little acting, help out. It's cooperate to graduate. They're looking for that. And just make it to the end. Once you get into flight school, a Tomcat pilot told me, study as hard as you can for the next graded event, whether it's a written test, a simulator, or flight. Study as hard as you can for the next graded event. Don't be one of these guys that studies 10 flights ahead. None of that matters if you don't make it. So I'm not a very smart person. I have a very small brain. Can't remember much. So that's what I did, and it served me very well. I'm excited for you. It was an awesome ride. And good luck, man.
Hell yeah. Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, congrats.
Aaron says, with the E2 still being produced, why no new C2s?
That's a good question. I mean, that would be way too cheap and not cool. I mean, we need rotors that go like this. Right? Oh, no, dude. It's like, what's the most complicated way we could carry mail from the land to the ship? Never mind, we've already spent $1 gajillion building a ship that can handle regular airplanes. Leadership. That's what happened.
Okay. MW says, from a backwoods Texan, I really appreciate y'all. Also a laser weapon. My wife and I like to cook and listen to the cast. Means a lot to us little folk to have a couple hours of normalcy. See?
Wow.
We talked about NASCAR, Gonky. I told you.
I didn't, dude. I'm not against NASCAR, especially when there's fights going on.
Snob. Tom says, wait, no fighters with freaking laser beams. Next, you're going to tell me the Ace Combat games aren't documentaries after all. So disappointed. I had it queued up. I'm going to try to get a Ace Combat Mover Ruins this week. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Andre says, hello, gentlemen. Greetings from Brazil. Nice.
Greetings, Andre.
Nice. Michael says, Mover and Gonky, what number did you graduate in your class and out of how many?
Which class?
Yeah, right. OTS was like 40 out of 42.
Dude, it's me too. Yeah, I was pretty
flying
bad.
skills high, officer skills not so much.
Yeah,
I don't do all that reindeer games.
Yeah, I did not do well in OCS.
What about pilot training?
Because I did the Air Force switcheroo, I think I was probably number one in my time period because I had no idea how the other Navy guys were going because I was removed from that. But since I did get jets in a time where they weren't getting jets, I assume I was number one, and then I was number two out of T-45s out of a class of 2. So I was dead last in T-45s. So And then I don't know how big the class was for out of primary to select jets.
Awesome. Good job.
Yeah.
Aaron says you should also do a Mover Runs movies for 2023's plane. What is that?
I don't know. Let's see. 2023 plane.
While you do that, actually, it's your turn again.
Oh, it's with
Hold on.
Gerard Butler. Yeah.
Oh,
It's probably good. Everything with him in it's good.
Could go either way.
Well, yeah.
Could go either way. There's
Maybe. I'd watch it. It's got him in it. You know, dude, there's going to be some butt kicking.
Anyway, the 2025 National Defense Authorization Act keeps F-15Es, F-22s, but reduces the F-35. I think that last part's not in your article, but we'll talk about it anyway. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, like you just said. So
that's the whole article summed up in the topic.
Yeah, it's right in the title.
The title has it all.
So the Air Force had planned to retire 250 aircraft in 2025, including 32 of the early Raptors and 26 of the older Strike Eagles. The House Armed Service Committee is proposing significant changes to the Air Force's plans. So it looks like maybe they're not going to get what they asked for. They want to prevent the divestment of these jets as well as increase the F-15EX orders. Nice. So it's been a couple years where the Air Force has talked about getting rid of the Raptor and the F-15E. The older Raptors are primarily used in training. They're not frontline, and their argument was it was going to be too expensive to upgrade them, which I don't know. It says here, yeah, we talked about that, the Raptor. The Strike Eagle. So it says the Strike Eagles they currently have in service have two different engines, the 119s by Pratt & Whitney, and then the
229,
the newer 229. So there's quite a bit more thrust with the 229s, right? 29,000 pounds of thrust, vice 23.5 a side, which is pretty big.
Get it? Yeah.
So the Air Force had planned to divest all Strike Eagles with a big engine by fiscal year 28, shrinking the fleet from 218 to 99 aircraft. They use that freed up resources to upgrade those 99 aircraft, and the 24 NDA already limited the number of aircraft that could be retired from 119.68. So they're trying to stop the bleeding. With the F-15EX, the Air Force initially planned to acquire 144 of those. However, the number decreased to 104 last year, and then the number was reduced even more in the fiscal 25 budget. And the Air Force will buy the last aircraft in 2025, ending the production, capping the fleet at 98 aircraft. So
wait, no, it reverts the decision. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So the fiscal year 25 NDAA plans to revert that decision for 24 additional aircraft to be added to the fiscal year 26 budget, bringing the EX fleet to 122 airframes. Wow. Yeah. Whether these 24 will be in the new budget is yet to be seen. So Frank Kendall said earlier this year the service has been through some tough choices ahead for 2026 because constraints likely. Yeah. Okay. So obviously money's an issue here, but
well, did it say how much the budget was?
Oh, geez. I think it did. 200 and what did it say?
No, it's going to be more than that.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's like 700 billions or something.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know.
So my point is, where's all the money
going? Well, first of all,
for the amount of money we're spending,
right,
we should have brand new jets everywhere.
Right, but we don't. So, good on Congress to be like, hey, wait a minute. We don't have shiny new jets everywhere. Let's not get rid of airplanes we already have.
I guess my point is that with that much money, we should be. Like, we're spending like drunken sailors.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, dude. There's no way to justify the predicament we're in when you look at the amount of spending we do with the decisions we make, right? Like, the whole, yes, thank you. The whole, let's replace a C2 with the V-22 sounds like a great idea. Let's get rid of all aircraft and replace everything with 5th gen super stealth. Sounds like a great idea, right? I mean,
yeah, it's not just that though. I mean, so the Strike Eagle's been doing good work, by the way. I mean, they were instrumental in the Israel, Iran, whether it was pre-planned or not, they shot down a crap ton of drones, did a good job, got some kills. Good on the Mud Hen community, the world's greatest passenger jet. We love them. I think it's awesome. We need to keep them. We need diversity of fleet, like you've talked about so many times on this channel. It is important that you not have one airplane that tries to do everything, or one fleet type. You see this in the airlines, right? When an airline only has one fleet type, Southwest, and that fleet type suddenly becomes hard to find, what do you start doing? Laying people off. Like you start having trouble because you need diversity of fleets, just like you need, a diverse background of people from different experience levels, so that you can increase the total force's capability. So, dude, when we see this, the reality, like, dude, you could read this all day, and it's funny. We're getting into the numbers. We're like, okay, the National Defense Authorization Act says this. What is it, May? It's not going to be passed by October. We're going to be in a continuing resolution. We're not going to have none of this. Like, it's great, sweet. This is not what's going to get passed, because what's going to happen is it's going to go to committee, and senator and congressman, or House of Representatives, they're going to get together and they're going to be like, oh, hey, look, my little pet project, I have to build this widget here, and I have to build this here. Okay, well, instead of 122 EXs, how about 98? And we build a couple more Fat Amy's, which, oh, by the way, they've already talked about reducing the number of F-35s that they're going to buy, which what happens when you reduce the number of something that you said you were going to buy a bunch of?
Unit cost goes up.
Right. Unit cost goes up. So, like, we don't learn these lessons. We just keep repeating it. And it's not because we don't learn them. It's because we don't care. And by we, I mean the people that are voting these things in, it's special interest. It's what lobbyist can get the FaceTime, what lobbyist can get their little pet project pushed through, hidden in some, 2,000-page bill. And next thing you know, we're in another continuing resolution.
Oh, it definitely seems like none of these decisions are like made in the interest of performance as far as enhancing your military. It is literally like bean counters sitting there figuring out this one's the most profitable. All right, buy it.
Yeah. Well, it's the districting, right? It's built in my district, and that's 2,000 jobs, and I got you 2,000 jobs in the great state of whatever. And you're like, well, wait a minute. If we built them all in one place, our transportation costs would go down 50%. Yeah, but my jobs,
right?
So it's either a jobs program or it's military spending. Like I feel like we've crossed the line somewhere where none of this matters. Like you could say, hey, we're going to keep 1 million F-15Es, and by the time it gets to, by the time we get to the reality, it's going to be, sorry, we don't have money to do NASCAR flyovers anymore.
We'll take one.
The TDY budget's gone.
Right.
Yeah. But hey, we're going to war, so
yeah,
suck it up, Buttercup. You better figure it out.
Yeah. It's not good, dude.
Anyway. Okay. Well, use our own and do not represent the DOD or its components, for the love of all that is good and holy. And take a cough drop from the audience, Gonky, for the love of all. You take your special sauce.
I'm looking.
Janitor's back says, if it's Gerard Butler movie, the president has been kidnapped or blown up or sleeping with his wife. Why not all three?
I think they did make one or all three.
Yeah. I think we're on Olympus Has Fallen 6 or something by now.
Is it?
That damn president, man. I'll tell you what. MW says, we'd like to know if y'all ever flown through a thunderstorm or bad weather in a jet, and what it's like not being able to see anything outside. Do you get nervous?
Yes. Yes. Short answer. Yes.
Been struck by lightning twice in a fighter. You ever been struck by lightning?
If I did, I didn't know it.
Okay.
I flew through a storm. I got led through a storm, but it's also my fault. As a good wingman, I should have said something, but we broke
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? He got an
trying
air
to say
medal, and I got a Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal for that very thing.
I'm trying to say I allowed my flight lead. I did not. I wasn't a good wingman, and I allowed us to go through the edge of a storm, and it knocked out the on the Catem 9, the end of it, busted the glass out. We got in trouble for that. And then before it wasn't a jet, but I did weather mod in twin Cessna 340s, and we would fly directly into thunderstorms, and that was bad, especially if you hit hail. I mean, it's so loud. You could scream at the top of your lungs inside the cockpit, and you can't hear yourself. It's very scary.
Yeah. So what you're saying is,
don't do it. Dang, dude. That is not a 340. That is a C-130.
I'm just predicting the future, Gonky. Start that rumor now.
You're terrible, dude.
I
should have never sent you that. Why did I do that?
Yeah, you gotta know. It's your fault for trusting me. Like a good wingman, you shouldn't have trusted me.
Way below average. Way below average.
Ian says, hi. That's what our Italian guy used to call our Ian. He was like, Ian. Ian says, hi, Mover and Gonky, loving ZU guys. I in bed, all banged up with 4 broken ribs, lots of bark off my hands, and broken pinky motorbike crash. Thanks for helping me relieve the pain. Gonky, that sounds like something you would do.
Get well, man. That's
Yeah. Seba with the CLP 1000.
Wow.
Dude, CLP, I'm on the fence about it for cleaning weapons.
CLP. Never mind.
Would any of you ever play Ace Combat, and why not? Because
Of course I'd
Gonky's
play
wife
it.
would divorce us.
No, she let me play it. I'd play it. Wait a minute. I would just play it. There's no letting me play it. I would just play it.
She doesn't watch this show, does she? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Sometimes she does.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure she watches. Don't. Anyway. Okay. Was this the last topic? Yeah, that's the last topic right here. Don't call it a comeback. Oh, I was supposed to get that. Yep. Okay. Hold on. Give it a minute.
What happened?
I've neglected my duties because I don't have fancy editors that are going through and getting these topics queued up for me. Are you doing your own now?
Some of them.
It's all right. Trigger warning for the Russian trolls. This is about the Su-57. So the national interest reports that the Russia's Su-57 fighter isn't making a comeback just yet. They've increased deployment of their Su-57, the Felon, multi-role fighters in the Ukraine conflict, launching over 6 KH-69 nice cruise missiles in recent sorties. But don't be fooled, this fighter jet still has many issues to be worked out. The summary is they've increased deployment. We literally just read that, guy. Come on, man. Write better. So they've been operating escorted by Su-35s, but they've remained within Russian-controlled airspace for fear of getting shot down by their own friends or enemies. Production is ramped up with plans to form a full regiment by 20. Are you reading that, Gonky? It's May 15, 2024, or maybe by the end of 2024. Despite its advanced design and stealth capabilities, the Su-57 has faced criticism regarding its true fifth-gen status. Now, if you remember the documentary Top Gun Maverick, it did not do well against the
F-14A.
Tomcat.
The F-14A with basically no Rio. Yes, I remember.
Yeah. But it did the Hayaka thing, so that was cool. Over the past month, Russian forces have launched more than 6 subsonic KH-69 missiles towards target in Ukraine. However, while they're escorted, they've stayed in Russian territory. And basically, it just says the production is going up. They've hit a steady production space. And then they have additional batches of Su-35s. Remember, the Su-35s were going to go to Iran, but I don't know if that ever happened. I think they were saying that's not actually a thing. So But they've said they're going to upgrade it even more to make it 6th gen. So a version would be the 6th gen, which no one really knows what that means at this point. What is 6th gen? What does that have? But it took them almost a decade, which we're not going to talk about how long things take to get into service. But the biggest knock has remained the number in service because, well, it looks like production is increasing. It's not going to match what they have with the F-35. So we pretty much just went around and around in circles to say they're building more, but they still don't have enough. And they're not using it very well. But it does have an ESA radar, and it can launch the hypersonic missiles, which is a good capability. But the big thing is, once again, when you read these articles, they don't actually say what their premise says. Yes, they're going to have production capability problems. Yes, that whole them launching that with Su-35 escorts, that's test. They're getting test data. They're trying to figure out what's going on and what it can do. We do that all the time, operational test, developmental test. It's not unusual. But to say that it's not really making a comeback, I mean, it's a new airframe in a conflict where they don't feel like they need it, because it's not like it's a huge air war right now. It's limited in terms of air to air. It's a lot of surface to air engagements, but not a whole lot of air to air engagements anymore. Gonky, what do you think?
Yeah, anytime I see any articles about the Su-57, you gotta take it with a grain of salt. I mean, that's like the Raptor, right? I mean, how much how much does the general public really know about the Raptor? Not much, right? So the Su-57 is the same way. I'm sure it can do amazing things. I'm sure it has substantial problems, right? Because like Mover said, it's new. Probably anything new, there's some growing pains, and even if there are no growing pains, there's envelope expansion. You build a new weapon and you discover what it can do via your tactics. You don't want to use old tactics with new technology. It's not a smart thing to do. So I just take it with a grain of salt. Is it a good airplane? I don't know. Can it do all kinds of crazy stuff? Probably. Would I respect it in a fight? Yeah.
Yeah. And, all the weapons that it can carry, I mean, obviously you would respect that. And that would be something that's a threat. Is it something that you worry about right now? No, because unless we go toe to toe with the Russians, in which case we've got bigger issues.
Right.
I mean, now we're talking nuclear v nuclear capability countries. We don't want to do that. So, I mean, it's like they talk about magazine racing, right? We're just looking at what's on paper, and we're saying that my dad can beat up your dad.
Yeah.
And until it really is a threat, we're going to be cognizant of it. But can you really definitively say it's making a comeback, or it ever needed to make a comeback? No. I mean, it's a development that's ongoing.
The fact that airplane exists is, I mean, it's power through deterrence, right? I mean, we're not sure what it can do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but we know they have an airplane that is, I mean, it looks futuristic. It's a departure from, the conventional 4th gen airplanes that they haven't, we have. So, I mean, it's, I'm with you, Mover. I hope we never find out what it can fully do, because then bad things are happening.
Other than what we already know from the documentary with
called Mavericks.
Yeah. What Pete Mitchell has already taught us about its capabilities.
Yeah. All you got to do is make its radar look low. And
it has no look down capabilities. Just like the MiG-28 had no negative 4G inverted tanks and had a problem with that.
Just like the MiG-23 from the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
We do have the demo team. You want to talk about that real quick? While I pull that up, Gonky.
Yes.
You forgot to tell me about what you did on Friday.
What I do on Friday?
Dude, you're getting old.
What? Let's see. Crap. That was, I can't remember what I did on Friday, dude.
You really don't remember? Friday? With your son?
Oh, no, I went and watched. Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. He's 5.5. It was his first ever theater experience. I took him to watch the Blue Angels in IMAX. The very first showing, 9:30 in the morning. And my kid he is a 100% boy, bouncing off the walls. I loves airplanes, fighter jets, fighter jet coloring books as well. He loves those. And I got him
The plug. I like it. I like it.
That's right. That's right. Story coming soon. But anyways, I took him to the theater, and man, when it started, for literally 1 hour, my kid just sat there with his mouth half open, and it kind of freaked me out a little. I looked at him. I'm like, "Hey, Rip, you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "You gotta go to the bathroom." For an hour. Dude,
future fighter pilot is born.
Like, I had a whole box of those hot pretzels, and like he wouldn't even take his eyes off the screen. He'd just reach over and just for an hour. And then at about the hour mark, he just looked at me. He said, "Okay, Dad." He's like, "We can go home now." I said, "Are you scared?" And he said,
1.0
"No."
platter.
Yeah. And I said, "I'll get you some ice cream if we can finish it." He said, "Okay." And then he went back. He didn't say a word the rest of the time. And he watched the entire thing. But it was awesome. And lead in next week, man, we're going to have K2 Kevin on the show. He was the guy that did the aerial
Both
photography for Maverick and the IMAX with the blues and the footage, the angles, the quality of the shots that he was able to get is phenomenal. I mean, there's scenes in that documentary that, I haven't seen since I was in a jet, because, some of those scenes you got to be above the Hornet to see, and you just don't see that from the ground, even with a high def camera. Right. So, I mean, it was awesome. And I know a couple of the guys that are in the actual documentary, so that made it kind of special as well. So it's awesome. If you haven't seen it yet, highly recommend it. Me and my kid, we loved it. So yeah.
What is Rip's review? How many stars does Rip Dog give it?
I asked him today, I was like, "Hey Rip, did you like that Blue Angels show?" Because I've never seen him act like that. It's kind of like he was stunned for like an hour, and nothing stuns that kid for an hour. And I asked him, I was like, "Hey, did you like that Blue Angels show with the fighter jets?" He's like, "Yeah." So was it loud? He's like, "Yeah." So he liked it, man.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you finally remembered him.
Yeah, dude. It's like, dude, I had a fever between then and now. So come on, cut me some
like
slack.
You still do with the vid. So we got some super chats that's related to this, but not this one. Hey guys, military procurement, same snafu all over the West. Just be grateful they're not running the local burger joint, or your main choice would be 100,000 tubs of mayonnaise and broken fork.
Dude, that is 1,000% true. Thanks, MJ.
Seba says footage shows you need 3 Su-57 to shoot down a F-14. They still didn't. Now we don't know. It's like, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop? We don't know. We never made it.
Hangman would have interfered.
Well, dude, he had 40 missiles. He had to do something. Like, if you show up to a war with all the missiles, you're going to use at least one of them.
That's true. That's true. You're right. I'm surprised he didn't start shooting earlier.
For his own safety, he had to shoot him.
Yes.
You know what they did? They probably gave him like the old lot, missiles. They're like, "Look, dude, this is just what we have left. If you don't bring them back. Just
hose them off.
Yeah, just
select jet if you have to. Whatever, we don't care.
Yeah, just get rid of them. MW says, being honest without saying anything you aren't allowed. If war broke out, non-nuclear, no nuclear. In your opinion, would America win the skies and save us in the flyover states against any other country?
It's hard to say, because I mean, if anybody tried to invade us, I think we'd have no problem repelling. But if we had to steam halfway across the world, that'd be a whole different ball game. It would depend on the country and who would allow us to operate out of there. There's a lot of parts there.
You sound like you're writing a paper for Air Command and Staff College, Gonky.
No, this is just off the cuff, man.
Straight from his noggin.
Straight from my noggin.
Janitor's back says the external aerial shots were great and Doc was a pleasant surprise.
Yes, mover. Yes.
The future ex Mrs. Mover.
No. Yeah, that I was like, oh wow.
It's a female, right? We're not talking a dude. Okay.
No, dude. No.
Just checking because Navy.
No.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No. Made
checking.
the movie better.
Aaron says, drove over an hour to see the Blue Angels in IMAX on Friday too. Enjoyed it so much. I went to the Kalamazoo Air Zoo to ogle some tomcats, ogle some tomcats and a blackbird.
Nice.
Blackbird doesn't have the same effect. Okay, listen, I finally got it. I'm not gonna say up because then that's so to speak, and that just sounds bad. Found it. People have asked. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
It's going to get us demonetized. And here we go.
So the goal of the team is to hopefully inspire every American we meet to serve their community. For the 50th anniversary, you have this opportunity to do something amazing to honor the history of the airplane and all that served for the last 50 years.
Nice.
I'm Anthony Paul Accurso. I'm assigned to the 412th Maintenance Group at Edwards Air Force Base. The earliest toy that I was ever given was a die-cast model of the YF-16 in that famous red, white, and blue paint scheme. I thought we need to take this on and do it big. Putting it all together, assembled a team of about 190 people across the wing to put together this.
Oh man, they got a
celebration
typo in the title.
honoring the veterans, past and present, their memory and the legacy of the F-16.
That's
Because
awesome,
of the
dude.
history of the first flight of the YF-16 taking place in 1974 here at Edwards. To get the opportunity to be asked to paint the aircraft here worked out great. To be able to give back in a big way has been everything to me. Working with the demo team and knowing that you guys trust us to be able to do this scheme the right way.
That's cool.
Oh, look at that.
That's cool, dude.
America.
Honor its heritage and legacy is everything to us. So thank you for the opportunity.
Sorry, dude. That's a sexy jet.
That's a good looking paint job too.
Good looking aeroplane.
Yeah. Nice work.
Little ATIS. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Slow down on that taxi. No faster than a man can trot. Unrestricted climb, get it. Oh, look, it's the family model.
You're gonna have a photo bird, man.
It's windy. Yeah, look at it.
So that jet was built in 91.
Well, it was funded in 91.
Would that mean it? I mean, what motor does that jet have? Do you know?
Is it probably a 229?
Okay,
In the demo team, Block 52s.
dude, I don't know, man. Air Force does block, Navy does lot. Like,
Might be a Block 50.
yeah,
Uh-oh.
it's a good looking jet, man.
30,000 pounds of thrust. We're just under it.
Some of the best chapters in American history are led by small groups of people that believe that they can do something extraordinary. We must honor our history, and we must get back to where the story begins sometimes. to see
Hell
the future.
yeah. Ooh.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm so sad.
Yeah. Well, it happens.
Oh, look, it's auto playing my own video.
It's probably one of the most frequently.
Talk about a plug.
I'm in incognito mode and
Oh, dude, that's
it just auto played me.
Get control, dude.
Next thing you get to see is Mover. Mover ruins Mover. Gonky, what do you think about that, man?
What, the F-16? Dude, that's free.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love the paint job. I love the nod to the F-16's past, where it came from. I think it's an awesome jet, whatever paint job you put on it. And I think it will be a massive hit on the air show circuit.
Yeah, it's a Block 50, so the GE motor 29.
Yeah.
So
You're
it's not a
slightly
brand.
breaking up
Really?
just a little bit there. You did just a hair.
Why you gotta
We'll
ruin
get
that?
you,
I was giving you information.
we'll get you some tech help. It's cool.
Is it still doing it?
No, you're good now. It did there for just a second.
All right. Do your thing. Go,
You're
start
good.
Talking. Start talking. Do your thing. Don't talk to me.
All right. Well, on a little bit more serious note, so the mental health minute this week perspective. So we were going to talk about this pretty much all weekend, at least before I got sick. Was it Friday, Saturday? I don't know. I was coming home. Standard, two fighter pilots talking, which means we're complaining. And, I got things going on. I got a family trip I'm doing. I took too much time off from work, blah, 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 blah. All these problems I was having. Then got off the phone for Mover, and another buddy of mine had called. He's a super fan of the channel. And he gave me some news that was not good. And, it instantly, I had no more problems, right? It really put things into perspective for me. So, I literally got done talking to him as I was pulling in the driveway with my kids running out to see me and my wife, and it's a beautiful day. And, I don't have the problem that he has. And, I've been thinking about it, ever since, I had that talk with him, and I still think about it today. And Mover and I talked about it, and we thought that perspective would be something good to talk about on the show, because I think we've mentioned it before. I've mentioned that I've always been a big perspective guy. Somebody always has it worse, right? Somebody always has it better. And it's not that your problems aren't real or you're not really dealing with problems, but it does help put you in the right mindset to deal with problems. I think if you have perspective, it really helps with your mindset, with your problems. And like Mover always says, right? Don't make a temporary problem a permanent one, right? Reach out, call somebody if you have to. But there's been several times in my career as a pilot where perspective has really helped me get through tough times. And then obviously outside the military as well. But I don't know, Mover, what do you got, man?
Yeah. I mean, when you called me back and told me, the news, it sucks, right?
Yeah.
But it's interesting because the perspective of the people that it happens to when you're like, man, that sucks, is they're still fighters.
Yep.
And they're still, making the best of what they have when they have it, and grateful for even now. Like they will find gratitude in places that you're like, wow, dude, I can't imagine that. And that's tough to deal with. It's tough to wrap your head around, because then you'll be like, well, my problems are the most pressing thing in the world. And then you'll find somebody else be like, well, at least it's not this. And you're like, holy crap, you're right. And as an aside, a friend of mine brought up, I told about this situation. They said, well, it's a great song. I think it's Tim McGraw or one of the country singer about, what would you do if you found out, I'd live like I was dying? And I responded, and I think this is something that we should think about with that perspective, is don't wait until you're dying to live like you're dying.
Yeah.
Do it now. Do it now. Don't wait till you can't. Do it while you can. And that doesn't mean, YOLO, get rid of all your responsibilities and stuff. But a lot of times we talk ourselves out of doing, something that would have otherwise been fun. Doug, you and I have talked about this, right? We go to the track, we're like, man, I don't feel like doing this. Then we get to the track, we're like, holy crap, I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, we've had that conversation a number of times.
Many times, and you'll be like, man, I don't feel like doing this. And the thing is, if you wait, because, your perspective is my problems now are, I can't go do the fun thing. I can't go do this. Well, then maybe one day that perspective is you really can't, because life has now caught up with you. So to me, the answer is, well, there is no answer, but one of the solutions, I guess, is to try to live in the moment, to try to live in the now, be present where you are, and take the opportunities because you may not get them again, or when you may finally realize that, hey, I'm ready to go do this, you might not be able to. I mean, I can't tell you how many people, my dad included. My dad had retired for 6 months when he died, and he had plans to go. He had an RV. They had plans to go cross country with my stepmom and my brother and drive. You know, they were just going to go see the countryside. And 10 years later, that RV is sitting there. My stepmom's trying to sell it. She can't find a buyer, and it's just sitting there wasting away because 6 months after he retired and said, I'm done working, I'm going to go do this, his back was so bad, he could barely walk. He needed to get surgery, and that's what ended up killing him. And so, you know, take those vacations, take that time with your kids, spend that time to go to IMAX and watch your kid watch the Blue Angels. You know, that's the kind of stuff we don't realize that we should have done until it's too late. So that's my pitch for perspective. And then talk to somebody, you know, I mean, have friends that tell you to go do it, to say, yeah, why not? You know, you can make more money, you know, have those friends that will push you to go do something cool. And if you don't, then, you know, maybe that's a good way to go make friends, you know, go do something, but get out of your comfort zone and go find a way to have that perspective and don't wallow in your self-pity. Doug, what do you got, man?
You guys keep getting better at this. I'm just going to have to go somewhere else.
You are the professional, by the way. We always forget to point that out. Douglas is trained and we're not.
I'm not that trained. About all I can offer, it's kind of personal. I had an accident when I was 25 that could very easily have killed me. And I like to think that gave me perspective ever since for a lot of the things you guys just talked about. You know, that every day you do stuff that could take you out, and try to remember that, and every day do something that you might not get to do again. Camping with your kids, giving somebody a call, whatever it is. Don't wait.
Yeah. And to sum up the whole perspective thing, you know, I hate the idea that I don't want people to think we're minimizing your problems, right? Because sometimes that happens too, right? Where you go, man, I had a crappy day and, you know, everything was bad. And then somebody goes, well, at least you don't have this. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, but it still sucks. So I don't want people to think that. The point is, it's a reframe. You know, just reframe your mind and go, okay, yeah, this sucks, but I'm going to overcome and I'm going to do something to make it better. You know, like I talked about when the dogs died, you know, Luna and I have created opportunity out of tragedy. So it's just something to consider.
Yeah.
It's hard to give that perspective to someone else too. That's a good point. You have to be careful how you try to do that for somebody, because you don't know what they've gone through. But being that friend who can say, you know, remember last time we had some adversity and conquered it, might help.
And also to not be that narcissist that every time somebody tells you what's going bad in their lives, that you try to one-up them. How many people do you know like that?
Definitely not.
You know, where it's like, hey, you know, my first world problem, right? Pool pump broke. I got to pay, you know, a couple grand for it. Well, you know, mine's broke, you know, and it's like, just empathy. Just that sucks. You know, we don't need you know, it's not a competition.
No. You had a pool?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got a pool? Wait a minute.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, we got anything else to add to that?
No, man. My thoughts and prayers have been with him for a long time, and I'll keep praying for him. And he's been a super fan of Gonky before the Mover and Gonky show, so it really hits home.
Yeah, we're thinking about you. All right. We got one off this topic. We got some. MW says, my wife, whoa. My wife really loves you guys. And Gonky, I won't be giving you her number. Thanks. Why Gonky? He's married. Thanks for being awesome. And y'all too, I hope most are like y'all.
Thanks,
Most what?
MW. Most awesome.
Most people, most Argentine F-16s. What does MLU provide them? Midlife upgrade. They're usually like a Block 50 standard, so they're newer. They're older jets, older blocks, but they've got the new toys to simplify it. Bill says, "What are the chances of y'all getting Brian Scholl on your show?" Fairly low. The SR, he passed away like 2 years ago.
Oh, well, then no chance, right?
I mean, not unless you got a Ouija board. That's awful. I shouldn't have said that.
You're terrible, dude.
He's got the speed check story, which people
Yeah.
always ask me about that, and I'm going to refrain. Aaron says, one person's craziness is another person's reality. I try to think about that whenever I have highs and lows in my life to keep myself grounded.
Yeah.
And it's funny is because like one of those things with perspective is you go hang out with somebody that's super grateful for everything. And then you'll find a little bit of perspective because they'll be thankful for things that you take for granted.
Attitude of gratitude, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're only as good as the people you keep your company with, right? I mean, that's who shapes us. That's what we become. So surround yourself with grateful people, not with people that are one-upping each other, trying to get the next, who's better and whatever. Surround yourself with people that make you better.
Yep.
John says, life on Earth matters not because it's the only life we have, but precisely because it isn't. It's the beginning of a life that will continue through those you impact. Jay-Z. J.E. Jensen, not Jay-Z.
Thanks, John.
But Jay-Z could have said it. Okay. That's it.
Is that it?
That's the show. Goodbye. And
See ya.
Do we have parting words? We're so bad at this part. Oh, look.
Yeah.
Ashton says, thanks. This helps my mom's. And one day at a time, man. Or ma'am or man. Either way.
Yeah. No, I guess back to next week. It'll probably be.
Oh, dude. What's next?
We won't talk too much about articles. We're going to talk more Maverick and.
Is that next week?
The Blues, right?
Yeah, you're right.
27th, right? I'll have a different background.
Dude, you remind me that my background's soon going to change too.
Yeah, I'll have a different background because I won't be here in my command center, but it should be good. I'm looking forward to talking with Kevin and seeing how they worked all their magic. So bring your questions. We'll be fielding those questions as well. So
yeah, I'm excited about that one.
Yeah.
And then the next week I'll be in the hotel. And then the next week it's going to get weird.
I've got my first book with words coming out probably in a week, which is scary.
Consecutive words, to be clear. Like they make sentences,
yes,
right?
There's actually sentences.
It's not just like one word and then the picture. It's like multiple words, subject, predicate, verb, somewhere in there.
Mostly complete sentences and thoughts, but yeah. So
good for you.
Yeah, we'll see. Other than that, man, I got nothing. I appreciate everybody showing up tonight. Sorry for the scratchy voice and Mover's crappy mic, but
I don't
understand.
I don't understand what's going on. I'll check this. It's random. I'll do better. Well, actually, next time that's it. Well, no, next time it'll be here, so it'll be perfect. Right in the middle of the interview, it'll be like, "What'd you say, Mover?"
That's
Sorry.
Right. Don't worry. We'll have the old Yeti here to pick up the slack.
Good. All right. Well, good night.
Yeah.
See you.
Thanks,
next
everybody.
week.
We'll
Thanks
see you next week.
Bye.